Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Stephen and I'm a popular investor on the eToro platform. So first of all, I would like to ask you if you could please like this video and subscribe to my channel. That will really help me to spread the reach. So today I'm going to be doing kind of my normal weekly video update on our portfolio, but I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of a twist and a little bit of a focus on cryptocurrencies in particular. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because last week we had a particularly volatile week in the crypto market for many reasons, which I'm going to go on to in a moment. So I think although I have a diversified portfolio of different assets, and I try to look as much as possible to make sure that the assets, many assets are uncorrelated, which means that they are going to be supportive to our portfolio during times of volatility in crypto. Overall, I think that I did as good job as I think I could do, considering the increased volatility in crypto. And although it might be a little bit strange to say, considering that our portfolio is now down for the month of May, I think that many other popular investors and also the direct assets themselves actually drew down a lot more than my portfolio. So I think I've held up pretty well considering the current circumstances. So as I go on to why it happened in the crypto markets last week, well, I think the main reason is that there was a lot of FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt around a number of different areas. So I'm going to focus on those now. The first one was from Elon Musk, who actually posted a tweet saying that Tesla were no longer accepting Bitcoin as payment for the EV cars. To me, this wasn't a particularly big piece of news. I know Elon Musk is one of the most powerful men in the world, but quite frankly, most people were not going to buy EV cars with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a disinflationary currency, whereas something as fiat currency is an inflationary currency. So it really didn't make too much sense for people to buy buy Tesla using Bitcoin. Not much sense, and I think that there was only a very small amount of cars that actually bought with Bitcoin. So not massive news in my opinion, and I think that Elon was swayed. Tesla actually make a lot of money from subsidies, and I think that he felt that some of that could be under threat. So he did what he could to try and move the story to make sure that Tesla looked as well environmentally friendly as possible. I think that the point of the environmental friendly parts of Bitcoin has actually been debunked many times. More and more mining is done in Bitcoin in using renewable energy sources, such as wind, solar, hydrogen, many different areas. So to say that the majority of Bitcoin mining is using dirty energy, I think is not truthful. And I think as we see renewable energy sources become more economically efficient, we're going to see more and more mining actually moved to renewable energy sources. Also, a massive portion of the actual mining is done in China, and there's recently been some news about China adding increased kind of bans and restrictions on cryptocurrencies. So first of all, this is not a new thing. So the Chinese government have been quite clear on the regulations for many years, and they've not outright banned Bitcoin, but there are some restrictions which has caused many exchanges to leave the country, and a lot of different Bitcoin related businesses to move abroad. But this isn't a this isn't an outright ban. And I think another thing that a lot of people are saying is to do with restrictions on Bitcoin mining in China. I actually see it as a net positive if some of the Bitcoin mining actually moves out of China. And the reason why I see that as a net positive is, you know, as we were saying, you know, environmental issues have been a stick to beat Bitcoin with for a long time. If some of that gets moved, some of the mining gets moved out to other countries such as Scandinavia. So for example, we see a lot of Bitcoin mining that actually happens in Iceland, for example, using renewable energies. I think that this could actually be a net positive for Bitcoin, which actually not only spreads the decentralized nature of Bitcoin, spreading the miners out throughout the world, but also will help to promote using renewable energy sources. And I think this is very important. The other net positive would be as well is a lot of people also say that Bitcoin is potentially centralized, which I don't agree with, because a lot of the largest mining pools are actually based in China. Again, you know, if we spread some of those Bitcoin mining activities out to other countries and other mining pools, again, I think this will be a net positive for Bitcoin long term. So as we move on to why this happened in the market last week, well, I think the main reason, as I said, was the Elon Musk news. This started to push prices lower as we saw a bit of fear in the market. And very quickly piled onto that was the China news, which I've just talked about. This further set the emotion of fear in the market and caused a considerable sell-off. So another reason why I think that the markets dropped considerably this week is because as the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets have continued to go up over the months, we have seen a level of infallibility in the market. So that means that people didn't think that they could lose. Many people who were not experienced in the cryptocurrency market had piled in. They'd either used high amounts of leverage, which means that they're trying to amplify their gains, or they have also used money that they cannot afford to use or invest. Maybe they had it earmarked for other important things that they required in their life. That means as the price went down on this fear, uncertainty, and doubt, this actually caused not only liquidations, but a lot of sell-offs to actually happen in the market and for people to hit their stop losses. This spread fear throughout the market, and we saw a lot of people either liquidate or capitulate, you know, several days after this news. What actually further compounded that was that many different experienced traders actually tried to buy the dips and buy what they perceived as the bottom, using again leverage. What happened was that these traders actually got liquidated as well on their way down, which caused that kind of very sharp bottom that we saw. I think it was around the 29,800 mark before we had the big spring back. So if I look at a lot of different resources, such as some Bitcoin metrics that I very regularly look into, we actually saw that a lot of the coins that were actually changing hands were new coins. So coins that had been in place from, you know, potentially one day to a month with their current holders. Yeah. So this was the highest percentage of coins that were actually sold, which shows to me that a lot of these were retail investors that actually had bought Bitcoin on the way up and had subsequently panicked when the price had gone down in Bitcoin. So this is something that happened. But when those prices actually went down, who was supporting those Bitcoin prices when they went down to those lows? Well, the answer was actually wallet holders who had a large amount of Bitcoin. So we're talking about the whales. So these were bought by whales, which could be individual high net worth individuals, or these could have been hedge funds. But these dips were bought up pretty quickly, and that is why we are seeing these kind of short spike downs, and then we are seeing these kind of relief rallies over time. So this is something that we are seeing more and more of. However, I'm very bullish, and the reason why is I think that it was about time that we saw some of this leverage actually leave the market, because leverage is very dangerous, because it just encourages people to dive on and jump on the top of a bandwagon, and when you have these sharp moves either side, which volatility is very natural in the cryptocurrency space, then it just causes these even sharper dips. So what I think will happen is I think we are still very much in the bull market of cryptocurrency, and I think we're kind of midway in the cryptocurrency bull market. And what I actually expect to happen is I think that we might consolidate somewhere between the 30,000 mark to the 50,000 mark, potentially over the next kind of couple of weeks to a month. And I think after that we could see a big spike up in the cryptocurrency market. So these are just my opinions, but really what I want to say, and it was in a post that I did recently, is the cryptocurrency markets are very, what I like to call bipolar. Yeah. So when the prices are going down, everybody wants you to run for the hills, cut your losses, and crawl into a hole. Yeah. This is not necessarily the right thing to do. This is what I call capitulation. Yeah. What you need to do is you need to really consider as carefully as possible and remember the real reasons why you bought cryptocurrency and why you bought Bitcoin. Yeah, you must have been very bullish on the beginning in either the cryptocurrencies or the popular investor that you had invested in who had some exposure to cryptocurrency. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got involved in the first place. Yeah. Don't consider when the price goes high that this is a lower level of risk than when the price goes low. These are opportunities. These dips are opportunities which you can really take advantage on, but you must make sure that your approach is measured as well. So you don't use money that you cannot afford to be without for a certain period of time, because that is when you get in trouble, and that is when you are forced to sell at inopportune times. So that's very important. And I think a lot of people also say is, why is the rest of the cryptocurrencies falling when Bitcoin falls? And the main reason is Bitcoin has the highest market cap of all of the different cryptocurrencies. It was the first and it was the pioneer. So there's a lot of people say that an altcoin is going to take over from Bitcoin eventually. They'll say that Bitcoin is slow. They'll say that it's not environmentally friendly, and the X altcoin is going to take over from Bitcoin. But what they don't realize is that when Bitcoin goes down, it's more than likely that the altcoin is actually going to go down faster than Bitcoin. Yeah, as Bitcoin actually shows its store of value properties. And you may say, what store of value properties? It's just gone down a certain percentage. But you must remember that Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the last 10 years. Yeah, we're talking about compounding growth of nearly 200% per year. There is no better asset. And of course, there may be times when things go down. And what I say is that volatility is something that should be embraced. It's not something that should be feared. You can do certain things to make sure that you try to taper some of those volatility, but you do not get large gains without a degree of volatility. So what I also want to talk about is my strategy. Yeah. And I want to make sure that all of my copiers are aligned with my strategy. This is very important, otherwise you're going to be doubting me when the prices go down, and you also may be considering, why doesn't he do that when the prices go up? So I like to make sure that I'm very transparent with my strategy and give my copiers an opportunity to buy into that strategy, or potentially look elsewhere at other strategies that more suit your individual needs. So what I have is I have a core position in my cryptocurrencies, okay? And as they go up in price, I inherently believe that as the prices go higher, there is a higher risk in the cycle. So what I do is I actually trim our cryptocurrency positions when they go higher. Yeah, so we're talking about all-time highs or close to all-time highs, and then I trim those positions accordingly. In May, early May, I actually trimmed a lot of different positions, especially Ethereum, Cardano, Stellar Lumens, and other cryptocurrencies that hit all-time highs. And I also trimmed some Bitcoin. But I think what you need to know is that trimming these positions is really important when they're at a high price. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to close all my positions as the prices start to go down, yeah, and then be able to flip that and then, you know, catch the exact bottom and then sell again. Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to achieve. What I'm trying to achieve is staying disciplined to my strategy. And I've also read and seen a lot of research that says if you miss 10 days of the biggest days in the cryptocurrency market, or actually the stock market as well, throughout the year, you're going to perform pretty poorly throughout the year. So I'm not trying to time the top. What I'm trying to do is trying to be as disciplined as I can with your money. And over time, as we do that, when we have these periods of volatility, they're actually going to become less and less, because I've actually taken profits from those cryptocurrencies and then diversified them into other areas and other assets. So I think that's going to be a net positive. So how do I try to dampen the volatility as much as possible? So that comes as part of my second strategy. And that strategy is to do some short-term trades on cryptocurrencies when I feel that they are opportune times. And opportune times to me is when there is a lot of volatility in the market. So obviously over the last days, I've conducted a lot of short-term trades. Yeah, my aim is to try and get as a high success rate as I can on those short-term trades. So I'm not trying to get the maximum gain from those trades. So again, I'm not trying to buy the exact bottom and then sell at the exact top before it might dip again. Yeah, what I'm trying to do is trying to choose the right times to buy those cryptocurrencies short term, and then when we see a bounce, like we have seen with a lot of these kind of spikes after the drop, then I take profit. So I set these at about 5% growth for each cryptocurrency. So what this allows me to do is kind of dampen the volatility by making some gains when some of my core positions are dropping. And I think that this is a very important way to be a very important part of my strategy. Another thing that I also noticed over the last couple of days is that stable coins have actually more moved over to exchanges. And what stable coins are, a US dollar equivalent pegged instrument, which you find on exchanges. And people use these stable coins in order to buy cryptocurrencies, but without having the volatility in the meantime while you wait for your trade. So we have seen a big inflow of those into exchanges, which shows to me that I think that people are going to be buying these dips, and I don't believe that this is going to be a prolonged dip. And as I said, I think we're in the middle of the cycle and this is a consolidation period. This is just my own personal opinion. So those are some of the things that I think about this this cryptocurrency market. And I think we need to stay as calm as possible. We need to stay disciplined to our strategy, and we need to have strong conviction. Okay, I'm going to be as transparent as I can. Yeah, so I am going to be watching things as much as possible. Yeah, and if I think that we are going to go into a period where we're going to potentially have a long drawn out, prolonged bear market, I will be agile with that, and I will look at either reducing our exposure to cryptocurrencies or completely coming out of it for a period of time. But this is not something I'm looking at the moment, and again, I am very bullish moving forward. But we need to stay agile when we can. So I want you to put away your fears of, I'm going to hold for a long prolonged bear period, because this is not going to happen. But we do not capitulate after just a week or a couple of weeks of bad cryptocurrency markets, because we've got to take the rough with the smooth. If we want to make the kind of large gains, we've got to sometimes be able to take the negative volatility. Otherwise, we're going to be completely shaken out of the market when the good times come. So that is my advice to you. So that's going to be it for today. I really wanted to just talk about cryptocurrency in general. Our portfolio is still doing really well for the year, well over 100% up in 2021. And I understand that some of you may be underwater if you had copied over the last kind of month or two due to this kind of correction in the cryptocurrency market. And I ask you to please be patient with me as much as possible. These are very difficult times in both the stock market and the cryptocurrency markets. And I think if you show patience, then you're going to reap the rewards of that patience. And my copiers that have copied the longest have the largest gains. And a lot of those had to go through certain periods of time where the markets were against us. Again, I will try to reduce the amount of drawdowns as much as possible, but occasionally it can't be. It's difficult to mitigate, but I do my best as much as I can. So thank you very much for listening to my video. I also just want to say that this might be my last video for kind of a week or two. On Thursday, I am having a small operation on my nose as I have some sinus issues. So it's quite likely that my face is going to be bandaged up. So I probably won't make a video next week, but I will continue to communicate with you via posts as much as possible, and you can be assured that I'm really taking care of your portfolio as much as possible. Again, thank you for your support, and I really appreciate all the kind messages that I get from you all the time, and I'm really happy to have you as part of our Bees Army. Until then, have a good trading week ahead, and be patient, be brave, be courageous.